it's disgusting to me either way. As a woman, it's like, ugh, find a
You
better
should be on
way.
this on camera here too with us because
When we'll get it
You know.
rigged up.
Find a better way. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's-
don't know.
it's,
Harley is a gross.
It's a weird world we live in.
It is. It's strange.
Yeah, the Me Too movement, the cancel culture we seem to have now.
well, that's a problem. And that's
Um,
yeah. But that's like
Which-
an epidemic, and that like people are making that into like isn't that supposed to be politicized too? That cancel
Well,
culture is a left
I've
thing.
always
It's
said
like
it's the power of the purse strings. I mean, you should use that against places and companies that you don't like and agree
Right.
with, and let them know you're doing it. Otherwise, it
Right,
doesn't
it's
really help.
pointless, yeah.
I do think
But,
that cancel culture thing, like on an interpersonal level, where people just throw each other away, like that is like on the left and the right.
Yeah.
But the
I think
thing
they're
where
both doing it.
people are branded something like this person, they told a racist joke 35 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Cancel
No.
Therefore,
now.
they,
They're
have
go-
to,
yeah,
they have
that's-
to
that
resign
was
from office
distasteful.
now, as
Well-
Prime Minister of Canada or some
Oh,
shit.
it's all
Like,
ridiculous. Yes.
it's crazy,
They're
like-
they're deep going into the people's Twitter accounts
Yeah.
looking for something that they.
And I think
Yeah.
obviously, like if somebody like a rape is uncovered 30 years later, okay,
That's fine.
That's
But
morally
somebody's
like
tacky-
Right.
right.
A
Somebody's
provable rape,
tacky,
and
right.
not an alleged
Right.
thing that no one
And
reported.
when
Right.
you're-
You
But
know?
somebody just learned 30 years ago that they were stupid. You know, they were stupid. Then they said something. They've learned, grown. As
Yeah,
people
well, I'm
do.
sorry. Yes, I did
Right.
look at things and
I
they
see.
apologize.
Yeah.
It still isn't enough.
Right.
It's always almost like
Well, it's like branding.
it's never quite enough.
Right.
It's like the Scarlet Letter, man. People are being branded for
Well, that's-
having
that's-
been on the
Having
wrong
been
side of
ignorant,
something.
yeah.
It's like, you know
The-
what?
What's
You know, like so, like
There is-
I did
it's
tell
going on
one
now.
joke in my life with the N word, right?
Mhm.
I did that. I don't know if I told Mark this story, but I did, and I told it to a black man because I'm an idiot. But I grew up around these freaking jokes,
I've
and
had
I heard
black
something I
people
thought was
tell
funny.
me
I turned
black
around and
jokes.
repeated it, thinking I was being funny to somebody,
it's like,
and the guy stared at me like, "What the fuck's
Yeah,
wrong
are
with you?"
freaking serious right now?
Yeah, but I was that stupid.
Yeah.
I was just, but I mean, to my
Because you-
credit,
it-
I was being colorblind at that moment, but I was still repeating something awful.
Yeah.
But like, no, you know, I'd rather have this documented about how this happened, like in case I run for public office. But it's
Well,
like
I
something like
remember-
that's discovered later, somebody's like ruined over it.
Yeah, I remember learning
know?
as an adult that a phrase that I had said since I was little was racist, and I didn't have a freaking clue. I didn't know.
We grew up around Polak jokes and
Right.
Jew statements. I didn't even know a Jew was a real person until
you know
that
about
sounds
those
crazy, but
jokes.
I heard that all the time.
You aren't just digging them out of nowhere. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cultures at one time had certain. I'm a wop. You
Right.
know, Italians.
Right.
They got certain.
I don't want to say it out
Stereotypes.
loud.
I mean, there
but
was
I
kind of certain
when
little
you
things
were
you
in
can
the
kind of
room, yeah.
laugh if you can laugh at yourself. It's not so bad, and you can make Now I think we're getting not quite as. It's not the old Polish neighborhoods anymore and stuff. We've kind of spread out, and we're less of that. So maybe those jokes don't work. I think you should be able to laugh at yourself as a.
It's as long as you're not laughing at
I
somebody
mean,
else.
certain groups eat certain types of food. You can make fun of certain parts of it as long as it's. I don't know. I think there's always been that. The court gesture, would be able to make fun of somebody so
Yeah.
that the.
I think it's as long as you know the company you're with, and the company you're with has said, I'm okay and comfortable with that, that's not offensive to me.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think it's up to the culture to regurgitate like the hurt, and then to say it's okay to the world to use it. Like I think the N word in maybe 50 years will be acceptable, but through the black race to the world, like okay, we regurgitated this hurt, and it's transformed to something else, and we can all take. But it doesn't have the original meaning. It may be scary to think that, like the.
Is it
everyone can-
necessary? Is that word really? Is that a word that we should try to turn into something?
Not
I
aspire
don't
to.
know.
It's
Personally,
solely on the black culture,
Right.
I believe, and,
It-
they're
yeah,
using it
to
as
us
a
to
term of.
decide if it's a good bad.
whether
It's a
we
term
can
of
say it or
endearment.
not with the hard
Yeah.
R or the A. I mean, there's a lot of stuff around.
It's
it.
a lot of
I don't know. I
rules.
mean,
Yeah.
words change all the time.
Yeah.
That's what we really kind of went into too just recently. It's like this news speak thing where words mean different things now, and they're trying to make them fit a.
I have a question.
An
for Mark.
agenda.
When you
I
have
think the N-word is
Let's
a
go
pretty
with that.
fairly clear-cut word that we
So,
know
yeah,
white people
what-
aren't supposed to use though.
right, but
It's
okay, but
still
here's
in
the thing.
process
But-
right now.
But then, okay, so I'm gonna hear your opinion because you started expounding this a little bit. But as a black person, I'm just gonna say, I assume you identify as black, right?
I really don't. I don't
Or
know
do
because
you-
I'm half white. My dad's white.
Or do you
and
call yourself
my
white,
mom's
or are
white.
you?
I don't call
Well,
myself
he's
anything.
a-
Although
technically
surveys
a
they feel your
mulatto, I
race,
believe.
I really
And I
don't
don't
know.
know why
I
we
just put
can't-
other.
I mean,
because there's no
he's-
spot for
Because
me.
I never knew. Because
Being
I've heard
biracial,
people
this
say
is-
like I've heard people say
this-
that like if they're biracial, they
Well,
feel like they're black. So
see-
that's why I asked. Well, it's a good thing I asked because I don't.
No,
I'm
he
clearly
obviously you
mistaken.
can see he's got darker skin, so I mean that's what
Right.
maybe
To the
people-
world, he's a black
people look
man.
at,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
this is
But in all
This
honesty,
is-
my dad looks like you pretty
Mhm.
much, and then my mom,
I'm
she's
sorry.
darker. And
your mom was that's where you got the good looks then.
What was your mom thinking?
right.
His
Yeah.
dad was so nice and when he was young.
So yeah, on the, let's stay on the word. The
Well,
N-word.
yeah, so I do want to ask this question though. So, first question is, do you think black people should use this word, or do you think it's okay that they do? And then second, is there ever a time that a white person, let's say, is there ever an exception for a white person? Could they ever be like close enough and friendly enough that they could say that, or is it
And how
always
could there
wrong
ever
just
be a word
because,
that a
or is
certain-
it just because they're white they can't say it?
For me, I
He's-
think it's never acceptable for another race to use that term. But it's a case by case basis. There's some black folks that have other races in their circle, and it's okay with them. To me, I always feel something on the inside. I don't think the processing is done yet. But I'd say in 50 or more years, the term really is a term of endearment, like in the black community, like, hey, that's my N-word. Like, it's a term different than first applied,
been
which
reclaimed.
meant to be derogatory.
But you did just shy away from saying it just now. But I mean, if it's a term of endearment,
Is it?
right? Is it okay for you to say right
Well,
now?
I don't identify with another black person in the room. That's why I didn't use it. So
Okay.
it's really, I just use it where it's appropriate.
I saw
So
that in
it's
Texas
not in
when I
my
was down there.
vocabulary, like-
My
Okay, here's
black
another
friends, my black friend across the street, we'd be talking just like regular folks, and then some more of his other black friends come up, and
Yeah.
it starts to get the tone changes.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It's a lot
And
of
it
code
becomes a
switching.
little colorful and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
personally, I think that word, I don't know. I mean, it is done in a thing of endearment, to each other.
It's a difficult one.
But
Yeah.
if
Because it's been
white
reclaimed
people,
to try and
if-
take away the sting of the word, it seems like, for the black community.
Yeah,
I think the
then
black
you get in
community-
trouble. I mean, I guess, hey, my nigga, can I say it?
Nope.
I don't know. Can I or not?
I
if
mean-
I don't know. I don't know.
Deep down, I feel
If I had a good
certain way
black
about,
friend,
but
should I
you know,
approach him like that?
No.
I don't.
Oh
I don't like.
no. It's triggered where
See,
some
why
folks-
wouldn't that be? I mean, what is it? Just because I don't have the same color in my skin?
Because you
I
haven't had
think-
the experiences.
I think your mindset may
Our
be ahead
experiences.
of.
I'm 64.
But you're not black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means.
but black people
can't-
have all different experiences themselves too. They have all different, and you
to
know what I
make
mean.
this
There might
word
be overlap or
into
underlap,
color
right?
is insane.
But that's what it was started as. It
Well, then
wasn't
that's
used
why
against
don't
white people
perpetuate
back in
it.
slavery.
Okay,
No,
so,
I
so
mean,
to your point, so are you saying that because white people shouldn't ever say it, that maybe perhaps black people should stop saying it too, or so
I don't
much?
understand how a
Because-
word. I mean, I guess I'm just trying to. I have to have the color of your skin to say it, or life experience. Is that it, or is it just? I'm just saying. I've got.
Well,
You
isn't
don't know
life
my
experience-
life
I think it's-
experiences, but I mean the whole. It's about being a brother of another black skinned person. Is that what it's being then? Is that pretty much?
Yeah, I feel like it's just an unwritten thing where the ownership transfers to the black people, like to the black culture, black race in America. Like they own that word, like because they were put in enslavement. There's a lot of rights, been reparations given to the American native, but not to black Americans who were in slavery. So
Yeah, that is a long time ago. See, we keep kind of trying to relive stuff that's so
Because
far.
it's
I
not.
think- I
Wait,
think
can
that- I
implore
think
before
though,
you
in
guys
all
go any further,
fairness,
can
though-
I implore that everyone in this room watches a documentary called 13th? It's on Netflix. It's free.
Sure,
It's
I
called
need a pen.
the number 13th. 13th.
I need a
That should
pen.
explain so much, and it's not like it's very fact based, and it goes way back to slavery days and shows how it might seem like a long time ago, but the repercussions of slavery are still actively happening to this day. It might not be slavery as it was then, but there is still certainly.
I'm a big
I'll
believer
have to
in
watch it.
Yeah,
and give you my
reparations
2
for
cents.
black, the
I
black
don't see
community,
it.
but in a different
don't-
form
I
than
don't
most
see
people.
it.
I honestly
believe in-
didn't see some of the things until I watched it. I'm very liberal, and I didn't know some of this stuff. It was eye opening for me.
I mean,
so I encourage you to watch it.
I don't feel like it was a long time ago. It was
I
just
don't
3
see it.
grandmothers back for me.
Right.
My great grandmother was born in the 1880s. and she died at like 110 years old,
You got-
and
you
her
got
her
good,
mother was a
genes
slave.
there.
So it's just, 3 grandmothers away doesn't seem too far, but we're close
We're-
to
we're-
being fully processed.
Culturally, we're long ways from that. That's what
White
I'm
people are a
saying.
long ways from that.
Well, there's still
I
some
think I-
downtowns where blacks have to
Wait.
get out of the town before.
When you're done, I want to hear I want to hear what the rest of you, what you have to say, but I also want to hear what you meant by that, because it was an interesting thing. I just want to hear the rest of your thoughts.
You want to go first?
I was just gonna say that, he says we're a long way from that, and white people are a long way from that, because we have a system set up, and our entire country was built with policy and law to advance white people,
Is that
not
still
black people.
happening right now?
That
Still-
is
it's-
literally still happening
Name
right
one.
now.
The
Name
prison
one of
system, blacks being
Yeah.
targeted. There's more blacks in prison, but we don't make up that percentage of the
Right, they're
country.
13% of the
13%.
You aren't
population,
doing
they're
it.
like 40%
See, I
of
mean,
the
that one there is
children.
like a statistical thing. I mean, are they performing more crimes, you think?
No,
They're not.
they're being prosecuted at like double the rate, I don't know the exact numbers, I'd have to look them up, as white people for this. They can get stopped for the same exact thing, even if it's a traffic stop, and a black person is way more likely to get a ticket for the same stop than
It's
a
a
white
ticket.
person.
That
Or
could
be
be
arrested for the
something.
same marijuana charge as a white person. Their sentences are almost always bigger, longer, more harsh than a white
That's
person.
something that could be looked into. I agree.
It should
I
be
agree.
looked
You know,
I
I
agree.
Brent, I actually
But-
did
but-
do some research
but-
on
but-
this
but-
myself,
but-
because
but-
I was
first of
checking
all-
out studies on this, but
real quick,
different
first-
policing, and what
first-
everything I saw was that it was not a real thing.
First,
And
Everything that I've seen is that it is.
The
They
Michigan,
got- they-
Michigan
they
State,
had to get
Harvard,
to-
and
to get
there's a
into
few
the
other ones that I
system,
looked at.
they had to do
But
something.
I want to see others too, but that's
Sure,
what I
but
saw.
the point is that they're doing the same some things as white people, and white people aren't being treated the same way because the system is set up to excuse our flaws, because the majority of the police are white, because they're able to look at another white man or woman and I can't think of the word, like, I relate to you more because I'm white and I understand your experience, so you probably didn't mean to do that, or it wasn't that bad, but then we're
Well, he
trained
probably
as a
believes
society
this-
that black people are still like scary or
Yes, that's different.
threatening.
I agree. I was
or-
gonna say that.
Yeah,
They're
so,
still
so
probably,
they must have been,
unfortunately.
they're thugs, they're doing something
Right.
wrong, so for white people, culturally, we may be moving beyond it because it's easy to move beyond, we have generational wealth. My grandparents were able to live on 13 kids, 12 kids, one parent working, grandpa could come home, grandma raised the kids, they still had money to live, and that, black people
according to
didn't
the
have it, they
Michigan
didn't
State
get their
study-
land, they didn't get the essentials to live and build up, so they've got a 200+ year deficit financially, educationally, they weren't allowed to read, there became
That's a
taxes
real
for
thing.
voting.
So this is the thing I was gonna say
That's
to
all
Mark, because
over
I
now,
do
right?
believe in
No.
They're not
reparations.
allowed to read anymore?
No, they are allowed to read, but we have a
I'm just
200-year deficit. So you can't say
They-
that a
they've been
200-year
reading for more
deficit
than-
doesn't do that.
They've been reading.
They were murdered for
Basically,
learning to
the
read.
point is that
That's still kind of a ways back there. It's
But it's
No,
2020.
but the point is
It's
that
how does it
the
have an
point
effect
is, though,
to
Mike,
somebody
the point is,
that's
Mike,
raised today?
when people were when slaveries were broken apart, people were sold apart, all this stuff, and then they were also taught they were not allowed to read for a long time. And when they got their civil rights, and luckily in Michigan, like black people got their civil rights in 1893, I believe. But in the South, some states they didn't have it until 1965 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was ghettoization. People concentrated and kept in certain places. No, hold on. With the poverty of education, not just poverty of money, but poverty of education, and so they were set back. And then these things have been generational. And then
Here's the generational. Let me tell you. Once they got out of slavery, black people had families.
That they
Black
couldn't
people had
afford.
less divorce than white people did. And until we had this new great society where they tried to be super liberal and give them everything that